Hello there, this is Marta Crawford, and today we are painting clouds. Now this particular cloud was formed on a trip I took to Utah years ago, and I like it because it has a good rhythm and a good composition, and it sort of looks like a shark. If you look at it, you can see the eye, the mouth. Of course, you can leave it to the imagination, but I like to think that. Now I printed 3 different photos. The first one is the normal one, which came a little dark. So the second one that I did, separating the temperature shifts, I printed lighter, and this is more like what I saw when I was there. And then I printed another one in black and white to show you 9 different values. I only did 9 values, so I'm going to make 9 mixtures of black and white or grays. And in this one you can see the temperature separation between the cool and the warm, and the cool and the warm, and the cool and the warm throughout. So we're going to paint it like this to make it look realistic and make it look more interesting. So what happened, this photo was taken midday. Is the most important thing when you're painting something outdoors. You need to know what time it is, because depending on the time, then you have a different light, and it will alter all the shadows, all the colors, the values, everything. So what happened midday? What happened midday is the sun is really high up in the sky, and it's very, very white, right? Very light. So the top of the clouds are going to be lighter, all right? And the sky is gonna be very dark blue at the top. Now the lower you come down, the lighter the blue sky will be, all right? And the shadows are going to be under the clouds. So you have the light at the top and the shadow in the bottom, all right? And the ground will be a little bit darker to make a contrast right here, like you see it. So that's not the only thing. Typically when you paint outside and you're doing something in plein air, what you're going to find is the sky follows this rule. At the very top of the zenith, you're gonna have ultramarine blue, a blue that will lean more towards purple, like this. And then as you're coming down, then it will turn into cobalt blue, all right? A little bit of a lighter blue. And then the closer it gets to the ground, which is this area, the more greenish the blue will be. So this area right here will be more manganese blue, all right, closer to the greens. And the reason is there is a lot of greens, you know, at the bottom in the earth. So the greens are going to alter that portion of the sky that we see. So this portion of the sky is always going to be more green, all right? So keeping that in mind, it goes from ultramarine blue from the top to all the way to manganese at the bottom. That is the most important thing, and that's what we're going to follow when we paint. Now the next thing I want to show you is the brushes I'm going to be using. And I'm going to be using different filberts, different sizes, all right? I'm going to be using a fan brush to smooth things around, very, very soft. And another one that is a comb brush, all right? And this is sort of like a fan brush, but is a little bit more control. You have a little bit more control with this. Another one that I will be using will be a Bristol, chop up Bristol, that will look like a stipler brush, and a bigger one. And I don't know if I'll be using this one or not, but I have it anyway, because this may be, you know, something I will use to make the clouds more fluffy, all right? I also have right here, I've already made this, I call them hollies, and they're just strips of paper. The paper usually left over from when I print photos. I reuse it. I don't waste anything if I can avoid it. And then I made a lot of holes in here, 2 different sizes, the small size and the big size, to help me identify all of the values and all the colors that I see. All right. The canvas I will be using is a board. It's this one. It is a 10 by 10 that has been tinted with burnt sienna. Now, I normally will do this wetting to wet. I will tint the board with burnt sienna or a different red, earth red, and then I will lift the whites with a little sock or a little rag. I will lift the whites to make the design and the drawing, but this is already dried and we're gonna do it this way. It's a very good idea to invest the time in learning how to paint in different ways and to achieve results in different manners, because when you do that, then you become more flexible. All right, so this is the palette set up. In here you have titanium white that I've mixed with a little bit of Naples yellow. I always like to add a little bit of Naples yellow to my white to warm it. Naples yellow, then cadmium yellow, raw sienna. This is Williamsburg orange gold brown. This is burnt umber, permanent orange by Michael Hardin. This is permanent orange mixed with a little bit of magenta by Michael Hardin. And this is the magenta by Michael Hardin. And this is amethyst by Michael Hardin, which is basically a purple. You can do the same thing. Mix this color by adding magenta and ultramarine blue together. But since I had it, I put it here. This is ultramarine blue, cobalt blue. This is King's blue, which is not really necessary, but I just love it. It's really my ultimate favorite color. I love it so much that I always find a way to sneak it into the palette. So I have to have it to make myself happy. This is manganese blue, viridian, and this is ivory black mixed with cadmium yellow, which is actually going to be our main green. I like to squeeze a little bit of viridian, a lot of viridian, because it has very little tinting strength. So I have to use a lot to get the desired effect, but not because I'm going to be using a lot of viridian, only because it has very little tinting strength. So I have to use a lot to make the mixture I want. And right here is ivory black. So over here you have 9 values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 values of gray, which will correspond to the 9 values of gray that we're gonna see here, and the 9 values of gray that we're going to see in our photo. All right, so we're going to mix this gray into all of the colors that we see to achieve a more realistic look. Because over here, this is a photograph. This is not the real deal. When I was there, I didn't see all these colors so saturated like that. They were all more subdued. all of the mixtures already that you see in this posterized photo. The lightest light is this one, the warmer one is this one, and then the purple this one, and this one is this one. And you can see all throughout all of the areas of the clouds right here. And this is the ground right here, all throughout the lighter area, or the lightest, all the way to the darkest, which is this one. This is the front that is a little bit more gray down, but it's kind of purple and lighter. And right here, you see the sky mixtures from the darkest blue right here, all the way to the lightest area right here. Now, when we look at the real photo, then we will modify all this slightly and make it more realistic. But this, even though it took me a while to get all these mixtures, it greatly simplifies the process. So let's begin. All right, so the first thing I do is oiling out the surface. I put a lot of linseed oil and I spread it all around very carefully, and making sure that every square inch of this board is covered with it. You may have to do it in several passes, but it's important that you cover the entire surface with a brush. Just get a pretty large brush. I don't like to use a bristle because it scratches the surface. Bristle is too strong, so I usually use a synthetic brush for that. And then I get a paper towel and I wipe everything off as much as I can, and I have to do it in several passes. Now, ideally, the drawing is completely dried, all right, within several days, but I didn't have time to dry this time, and that's why you can see there's a lot of pigment still on the paper towel. So I will lose a lot of the drawing, but it doesn't matter to me. I'll just get it back when I paint. The most important thing that you get as much off as you can, because if you leave it too runny and too oily, then the paint will not adhere to the surface and you will get a mess. It will be really chaotic. The paint will not hold and your mixtures will just slide off the canvas. So do it several times. I don't know what happened here, but somehow I forgot to click record. So basically the only thing I did was added the darkest blue at the top of the sky of the mixtures that I just showed you, and I went down through my mixtures with the lighter blue. We're getting very close to the end here, and I'm adding a little bit of more foliage to the bottom part, just very roughly. I do not want to put excessive detail because this is a fresh painting. The ideal is in here is as if you were outside painting plein air and have a very limited amount of time. I wanted to show you the process. Now, of course, this could be taken a lot further and added, you could add a lot more detail. You can blend a little bit more if you want. But that would take too long, and it defeats the purpose, because the most important thing in here is what I just did to show you how I apply the colors, how I go from warm to cool throughout, so it remains interesting, how I arrange the composition to make it appealing. I'm not completely faithful to what I see in the photograph, because what is the point on copying a photograph? Exactly. You just want to make a painting. So hopefully you enjoy this video and you gain some knowledge for it. And I would love to hear your comments so I can make better videos in the future. If you like it, if you didn't like it, what do you wish that I will have included? And that way in the next video, I'll try to shoot for that and make it more comprehensive. So again, please like and subscribe, and that way you will encourage me to keep making more videos. Until then, I hope you paint as much as you can, and I sincerely hope that this video inspires you to paint and to get your brushes out there, to get your canvas out there, not worry about where you are, not worry about where you're gonna paint. Just get something on the canvas, just get those creative juices flowing, because there's something very novel about painting and making something where there was nothing there. It was just something, a white piece of canvas or a board, and you put something there. It takes courage to do that, but courage is what makes everything in life worthwhile. If you want to know and are curious to see about how I printed the photograph with all the different values and temperature shifts throughout, be sure to watch this video in which I show you in detail how you can find this in Photoshop.